All right, it's been a long time coming. Very excited to make a video on this and kind of announce it to everybody. We have an amazing event in Urban Legend in studio, which I think is insanely valuable, often very underrated that we have an event like this that's kind of worked out this way for so many years now. And again, it parallels what we do in class on a weekly and monthly basis so well. That I want just more and more people to feel comfortable, not only potentially doing it, but confident that they can do it and get themselves up on the wall, work their way into earning some shirts, and just having the motivation to feel like they can achieve something, again, that's in studio, which is absolutely awesome. Obviously, when we first came up with Urban Legend, the thought process was to build a workout. We'd do it twice a year. And it would correlate with your progress in the gym, especially on a couple of the main lifts, obviously chest, shoulders, and legs. But over the years, I think it's very easy to put it on the back burner and not think about it until it rolls around in October and April, May, give or take. The second one tends to be. And a lot of times it just doesn't work. And people have kind of run into a wall. I think a lot of people have plateaued. And this is an idea I've been fiddling with for quite some time. Pretty challenging to figure out how this was going to work, how it was going to fit into the workouts, how we could offer this in a scenario where people could actually come at the regular class times, as I don't think doing one-off classes on weekends and at night was just something that's really feasible for a lot of people that have, especially kids, people with children. And again, I wanted this accessible to everybody. So here's what we landed on. We've been doing cycles for a long time. Cycles flow incredibly well. Those aren't going anywhere. Mini cycles aren't going anywhere. The monthly emphases aren't going anywhere. Emphasis, I don't know if that's a word. All that's going to stay. Like, the programming is incredibly layered. I'm really proud of what we do at the gym. I think our programming far exceeds anything that any other group fitness gym does literally anywhere. And I think this is a whole nother layer to it that I'm hoping people will take advantage of. Now, this will be the first time we do it. This Urban Legend training. So I think we're going to learn as we innovate this into the programming, into the workouts, we'll learn the first time through. But my thought process is, once this is done and it's been refined and we've kind of got it to exactly where we want it to be, what works the best, what's most efficient. This should just be very repeatable. My thought process is that we'll repeat this, I'm thinking, don't quote me, 3 times a year that we'll run this. So we'll run it obviously 8 weeks leading up to an Urban Legend. So that's, of course, leading up to April or May, whatever the Urban Legend is every year. This year it's April 25th, as stated on the screen. It'll be running up into like Halloween, which is typically when we run our second Urban Legend, or our first, however you want to view that. And then there'll be one in the middle somewhere, so probably the dead of summer, or people can kind of feel like they can get ahead of the curve and really start pushing themselves on this specific thing. Now, Urban Legend, it's hard, right? It requires a lot. It requires strength in a lot of different areas and different muscles. It requires a conditioning piece that is not just easily maintained, something you can grab quickly. It's not something that comes overnight. It requires your capacity and your conditioning paired with your muscular endurance and your strength, your raw strength, right? Like, it's a lot. And what I've learned over the years, and not just from Urban Legend, but from a lot of events I've done, is that things are very specific. They require specific training. And Urban Legend is no different. Like, I'm asking you to do specific stuff on this workout. And a lot of times, although the workouts that we do on a day-to-day basis get you prepped for it and build the necessary strength to get there, it's not specific to the Urban Legend. And this training is going to be specific to Urban Legend. And I think I'll explain a little bit of it here, but when you guys do dive into it and this does start, I think a lot of people are like, whoa, like, I can totally understand how this differs from what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And just to be very clear, I don't think doing Urban Legend training is better than doing what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. It is just, if you're trying to complete Urban Legend, it is. Otherwise, it's never better than what we do on a day-to-day basis. That programming far exceeds the Urban Legend programming. But how it's going to work is 8 weeks leading up, with the 9th week being the week before Urban Legend. That'll be completely off. And we'll talk about that more when we get to it. And again, this isn't verbatim, but I wanted to give a rough outline of what this looks like. Again, try to educate you guys, give you as much knowledge and transparency as possible. And I think you having more understanding of how this is working, how it's going to flow, how it's going to ramp itself up and taper itself off, will hopefully get you excited to feel like it's something that maybe you can achieve if you haven't already achieved it, or it can get you to a certain tier that you haven't been able to get to thus far. So Weeks 1 and 2 are going to be kind of like this high volume. You see like the 100+ calories bike, the 1+ miles ran, the rep counts a little bit on the elevated side towards kind of like your tier weight. So again, obviously if you're aiming for like the black tier, the lowest tier of the Urban Legend, you'll use that weight, and that'll change as you go. As you get into weeks 3 and 4, you'll notice this volume under fatigue. So we're still aiming for kind of like that tier weight and the higher volume of stuff and repeatable rounds. But as we work our way through this, we're going to have opportunities to work at the higher tier weights. And you guys are going to see this as we go. So this whole periodized flow is to give you the specific amount of volume that you need over the expected volume that you'll need, so that when the Urban Legend does roll around and we start getting to, closer and closer to the actual date of, but even sooner than that, weeks 7 and 8, this isn't going to be a shock to you. And I think a lot of people prep themselves for Urban Legend. They've done it in the past, but they ultimately, if they don't play test it, because I do offer play tests normally a month ahead of time, it's kind of a shock, and it's a body shock. It's a mental shock. We don't realize what's hitting us. We didn't think we'd be as tired as we were. We didn't understand that a 100 calorie bike into 50 push press into a mile run was going to be as challenging as we thought it was going to be. That this periodization, this training, is going to give you all the confidence in the world that when we get to the Urban Legend day, like, you know exactly what's about to hit you. You know exactly how it's going to feel. You know exactly how to pace yourself and break things up and juggle your splits between exercises and rep counts. And there's going to be nothing unturned. We're gonna understand everything that's coming at us, and we're going to feel as confident as possible in getting as far as we can, or hopefully, obviously, completing it. So this is it. You can obviously take a picture of this, just look at it. Again, don't quote me on this. This is kind of just a very rough outline of what these weeks are going to look like as we work our way through. But this is going to flow like a cycle. So as I was saying earlier, when you guys come into class, and again, this has flexibility to change if we can find a more efficient way to do it, but I'm pretty positive this, we're going to have this in class, and it's going to be a choice. And how it's going to work is on leg day, shoulder day, and chest day for 8 consecutive weeks. Those 3 focuses on the whiteboard, similar to a cycle, you're going to have an Urban Legend training workout. And anybody participating in the Urban Legend training is just going to come in, just like cycles. You're going to do the warm-up, and you're going to look at the Urban Legend whiteboard, and you're going to do that off to the side, full autonomy, and just go, whereas the regular class will still be running. So, my thought process is some of us, and this isn't everybody, this is where it starts to get a little bit different. I think this is the beauty of Core 4, is that we have flexibility to do this, is that some of us might be fantastic on the chest press and fantastic on the push-ups, and we just don't struggle in that modality at all. Well, you can just do the normal chest day. You don't have to do the Urban Legend training of chest day, right? If you're somebody that's a shoulder day, you can do the shoulder day. You don't have to do the Urban Legend shoulder day. Obviously, the Urban Legend shoulder day is going to be heavy push pressing, right? There's going to be a lot of volume, a lot of repetition specific to the Urban Legend. Chest day is going to be a lot of flat bench, chest press, and push-ups. A lot of biking, right? There's going to be a lot of things specific to the Urban Legend, whereas regular class will be a way bigger variety of things in programming and emphasis, where this is, again, going to be kind of very pinpointed at the Urban Legend. So you will be able to pick and choose which days, but the underlying consistency is that every single week you will have these 3 days, these 3 specific Urban Legend training days, and your opportunity to really ramp up the volume, ramp up the repetition, and do exactly what you need to do to get yourself put in the best position to succeed. So I think this is going to go phenomenally. It's taken me a long time to get to this and kind of, get down and get into the nitty gritty and a ton of adjustments and writing back and forth and how this is going to work and yada, yada, yada. But we're here. We're going to let it rip. It's going to start on February 23rd. You don't need to sign up. You don't need to do anything. You just need to show up, do the workouts. And again, I will say on this, I don't want people just randomly doing this. That's not the goal. The point of this is if you intend on doing the Urban Legend, you are doing these workouts or the ones you think that you need. Obviously, we can have a conversation with a trainer. But again, if you have no interest in doing the Urban Legend, you're not going to do the Urban Legend in the future, then just do the regular workouts. I don't want you doing this at all. That is not what they're here for. Unlike the cycles, where I kind of want everybody to do cycles. So hopefully you guys are excited about this. I'm super excited to roll this out. We still got a month to go until this starts, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions regarding. But I can see the finishing rate, the names on the wall, the t-shirts, the long sleeve shirts handed out, dramatically going up, and that's kind of the goal. That's what we want to see is progress, and hopefully you guys are here for it.